You did the hardest thing for any person starting a business, not only to start the business, but you got to an exit and it was a 9-figure exit. It's been described that starting a business is like chewing glass and
Yeah.
then you start to enjoy the taste of your own
Yeah.
blood. The man I'm speaking with, Ankur Nagpal, has achieved massive startup success. He sold his startup Teachable in 2020, an edtech company, for over $100 million. But despite that success, it wasn't enough. And he decided to dive back into the arena and build a new business. Hi, my name is Arjun. I'm the CEO of Doula, a venture-backed fintech startup here in New York City. To learn more about what we do, head to doula.com. I started a series called the 15-Minute Founder, where I sit down with great CEOs and entrepreneurs to get a glimpse behind the scenes of how they achieve success. I sat down with Ankur and he shared with me why, despite massive financial outcomes and despite massive startup success, it wasn't enough. And he shared pitfalls he'll avoid, mistakes he doesn't want to make again, and why ultimately he's building a new business. Without further ado, let's dive in. You
Yeah.
probably could have done anything you wanted
Yeah.
on earth, but you decided, I'm going to chew glass and
Yeah.
hopefully like the taste of my own blood again. I know that's a bit morbid, but
Yeah.
why did you decide to, after reaching an exit with Teachable, decide to do out of everything you
Yeah.
could do, get in the trenches and start Ocho, a new
Yep.
business now?
There was some part of me that missed like the act of building, and not just the act of building, but building with a group of people. And that, slowly, like by the end of the summer, I was back. I started thinking of starting a company again. And I kept telling myself, that's crazy, don't do it, don't do it. And at the end of the summer, I was supposed to go to Portugal to surf for a couple of weeks. And that was supposed to be the trip where I decided whether I really wanted to do it. But when it came time to leave, I actually found that I was more interested in sitting behind my computer and building this business. And that's when I knew, you know what, I gotta do it again.
I've heard a saying that first time founders focus on product, second time founders focus on distribution. But as a second time or serial founder now, what is the biggest thing that you are doing differently after this,
Yep.
the war wounds, this war
Yeah.
stories, the scar tissue from the first experience?
So the biggest scar tissue I have is like honestly running a company kind of sucks after 50 or 60 people. So right now I'm just fighting as hard as possible to keep the company as small for as long as possible. So that's a big sort of change, and this time I have a lot less ego involved. So if a time comes where I'm no longer enjoying what I'm doing, or if the company's better served with an outside CEO, I would step away. The first time around, you have so much ego attached. You're like, this is my company. How can anyone else run it? So that's one big lesson. The other lesson is, ironically, I think I'm always have been a distribution focused founder. This time I'm actually spending much more time on product. We've intentionally decided we're spending $0 on marketing. I'm not like, we're growing, 15, 20, 25% month on month, but the numbers are still pretty small. But right now I'm like, let's get our product really good and then double down on distribution. So I've actually gone the other way. But my inherent bias is, look, I've always been distribution focused. Like that's my background. So it's a little different for me than a founder that's, never thinks about distribution.
Why do companies, or why did at least you find that the experience with over 50 or 60 people sucked, or why did it get worse at that point?
It's totally possible. Like I was a bad leader or a bad CEO, and therefore it sucked, versus it being an inevitable fact that it has to. But for me, what I found is I started to spend, like, I started a company because I couldn't really have a job. Like, it's just, having a corporate job wasn't for me. And at that size, it started to feel like a job. Like, I started to spend all my time in meetings. And one of the things that's most exciting about running a business is you have an idea on Monday, you can do it on Tuesday or Wednesday. But at that point, everything grinded to a halt where you want to do something cool. Now let's have a meeting to figure out how to do the thing. And I'm spending all my time now convincing people to do the thing that has to be done. And again, it's totally possible it's my mistake. Like I didn't set the company up correctly or didn't have the right people, but it definitely became a lot less fun after, I don't know whether it's 50 or 60 or 70, somewhere in that range.
What important truth do you believe in that many other people might not? This is a version of the contrarian question, but what do you believe that others just disagree with you on when it comes to startups?
Well, I can start with like very tactical takes and then sort of zoom out. But very, very tactically, I think a lot of things when it comes to startups create the illusion of work and activity. And there are very few things that meaningfully move the dial. For instance, one of the hills I'm going to die on is most startups should not be A/B testing, right? Like I feel like every single product manager, every single startup goes through this phase of like, oh, let me like, try to optimize the copy and like run like it really doesn't matter. Like in the early days, you need to move the dial so significantly. It's not about getting a 10%, 20% improvement, from somewhere. You have to like literally take shots from that are just much, much bigger in nature. Another thing is, I think there's no substitute to like forming deep relationships with your customers. Like I think all the companies I've known that have done very well, like even the Teachable days, like the fact is we got to know our customers very well personally, and that was something we were able to scale up and ultimately differentiated us from the rest.
What did that actually look like in practice, meeting or getting to know a customer on a deep level versus a surface level Zoom where you say hi for 15 minutes?
So all of our customers at Teachable, we had a certain segment of customers that in turn were very important because they were creators, and in their audience were hundreds of other future customers for us. So for people like that, we ended up just honestly just becoming friends with them, which sounds a little bit over the top, but no, we would like actually go out with them. They were family people. We knew their family. If there were people who like to go out, we like literally went to the bars with them. Like we were in very, very close with our customers. And I think when things got tough, that really made a difference in terms of who you could count on, and like those relationships just compounded in life. I mean, same with some of our investors. Multiple people that were our investors are now amongst my close friends, since we've at this point had an 8-9 year relationship and kind of seen each person develop through that. With Ocho, I want this to be a company I can build for the rest of my life. And if it means like, being more patient year 1, year 2, year 3, that's totally fine. So a lot of things here I'm just doing differently because I want this to be sort of a canvas for my life's work. So it does lead to like in some ways a relaxation of pressure. And also I just think when you're a little bit older, having done this, you just get better at managing yourself and your emotions. So yeah, it's been great so far.
Sometimes people say you should separate the work or the outcome from yourself. Do you think that you should separate them, or do you think that the two are intertwined? Own it,
Yep.
make the company the canvas, you feed the company
Yeah,
feeds you.
I hate that shit, or at least I don't think I am the right like like a lot of people are like, oh, you want to have work life balance or whatever, and I'm not saying I don't even think I work particularly hard, but I like strive to integrate my work in life. Like to me, a good life is where I struggle to be like, is this work? Is this my life? Like that is like it's just what feels most natural to me. The idea of like creating these two separate parts that don't interact is like the most unnatural thing in the world. Like if I'm, playing a sport with a founder I invested in, is that work? Is that life? I don't know. And that's the good part, right? That's how I want to live my life.
Hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. I certainly enjoyed chatting with them, and you can find the full video on my channel. As you can tell, these typically go over 15 minutes. Now, we have more interviews just like this coming live soon, but I also want to share a behind the scenes look at my life starting and scaling Doula, a venture-backed fintech startup here in New York City. That includes how I run my life, the challenges the team faces, how we've raised venture capital, and more. So please like and subscribe the channel for more content just like this. Hope to see you soon, and if you're looking to start and scale your business from anywhere in the world, check out doula.com. Thanks so much. See you next time.